When you're good to go, we will get going. All right, should we do this? Here we
Yep.
Here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, 99 World Cup winner Saskia Weber, and joining us very much from his man cave right now, I believe somewhere near Villa's facilities, we have San Diego Wave goalkeeper coach Louis Hunt. Louis, thanks, man. Thanks for coming out.
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
No, for sure, man. I think it was funny because like Saskia, just to kind of break the fourth wall a little bit, when Louis first came on here, I was like, that's an incredible virtual background that he's got going on right there. I was really pleasantly surprised with that. And then he's like, no, actually, this is real. I have an entire setup down in the basement. So that's just absolutely remarkable. Yeah.
Nice. I like it.
Famously an Aston Villa fan, and any opportunity to the American audience I can get to promote Aston Villa, I will do so. So sorry, not sorry.
It's just free advertising for Villa. I love it. I love it, man. Well, obviously a lot's happened to you, Louis, since last time we had you on the show. I think we had you on the show during the pandemic. So I think you had maybe just started doing some distance sessions out on the field with the surf kids. So why don't you kind of catch up everybody on what's been happening in your life in the last couple of years?
Yeah, so obviously, crazy time around the pandemic. That was probably a period where I was just doing the goalkeepers at the club. And then after that, I ended up taking teams again. And then during the back end of last year, Wave got in contact and had the opportunity of speaking to Casey and Molly, the GM, Jill, obviously, and was offered the goalkeeping role there. Surf have been great with me and helping with that transition. Obviously, I had to give up my teams because that was just would have been unfair on them to try and continue to do that around the Wave schedule, but still have a foot in with Surf, doing the goalkeepers, helping out a little bit in training, doing the age group training stuff, and kind of assisting on a couple of the teams during the midweek. So yeah, doing a little bit of the club stuff and then full time with the Wave. So it's been a real interesting last couple of months. Very challenging, hard working, but it'll be fun as well.
So we actually guessed by look at this, a special guest has just joined us.
Wow.
Oh my God, this is incredible. We did not expect this to happen. How's the weather in El Paso, Texas, Omar?
Wow, you're muted.
You're muted. Hold on. Can't hear you. Let's see. Is it working?
1 second.
1 second. All right, let's see here. Well, you do look lovely, Omar. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm that sweatshirt. That sweatshirt's killing me because it's like it reminds me of one I had like back in the 80s.
Can you hear me now?
Whoa, there we go.
Oh. So good to see you. Nice to see you again.
Hey, bud. How are you?
Good. Congrats on the result. I mean, it's a tie, but good result. First game.
Yeah, we'll take it on the road. On the road, the closest.
I've never seen the Fullerton Stadium that filled before. So I mean,
actually,
you guys did a great
job. I digress. We had 10,000. How many were there for you guys?
Officially, I think it was 7, but according to my wife, they were just letting people in after kickoff when she got there. So
I think when we played them for UCLA, we had the largest crowd for. It was like 8 something or almost 10,000. It was crazy.
Mike, is that your phone?
It's not my phone.
Sauce?
It's not me.
Ooh, is that you?
Mine's off. So not with me.
Hats off to that game because it didn't look like 2 expansion teams, to be honest with you.
The energy, the crowd, the noise was unbelievable. The warm up was you couldn't hear the goalkeepers talking to each other from 3 yards away with the noise and the music and all that kind of stuff. It was a real buzz, and yeah, hats off to both clubs, but Angel City especially with the fan stuff of getting them all there. I'm not sure what the Angel City hardcore fan group is, but they were incredible.
There are a couple of them.
The Angel City Brigade, right? Angel City Brigade. That's
there
the
are a couple of them. There's there's Rebellion 99. There's several, but they are hardcore.
Yeah, they did a really, really good job, and I think there was a lot of support for both teams across the board. When Kristen's name got called out in the lineup, the place went nuts, and then every time Alex was up and down and close to the fans and the sides, they were going nuts. So yeah, it was a special atmosphere, and the Fullertons. I've been there a couple of times, but the pitch was unbelievable, great condition, and just what a cool venue to play at.
Absolutely.
Is it like an LAFC, LA Galaxy type vibe between you guys yet, or was there like not enough of a rivalry yet?
I think it was definitely friendlier than that time.
I will give a shout out to Jill Lloyden because I thought she absolutely nailed the broadcast.
She did so well.
Absolutely nailed it. I texted her immediately
How
after.
refreshing was it to get nice analysis of a goalkeeping play as well? Some generic like, she should have saved that one.
Yeah, right. No, she was so spot on. I texted her immediately after, just like, wow, you nailed it. It was awesome.
I mean, it is absolutely unreal, because one of the things is like you listen to somebody like Jill Lloyden sometimes and you go like, do I even know what I'm talking about? Like,
exactly.
How long have I been doing this? Like,
but for somebody that hasn't been playing for a while, just to be so like spot on with the field players as well, and just like she brought it. So I hope we hear her more, to be honest. Because there's some announcers that I turn off and I just watch this game on mute. So,
look at this. Look at this comment.
Hey!
Now we have to stop being so nice to her because now we know she's listening.
And actually, speaking of results, guys, we need to shout this out. Omar Zini's Las Vegas Lights got a result, guys. Congratulations.
Oh man, we did. I mean, you know how they say act like you've been there, and I think unfortunately our social media team, after our season last year, how many losses we had, they don't know how to do social media when we win. So they've been posting every single thing they possibly can, and I think myself and the staff now have muted the Las Vegas Lights social media just because it's getting too much. But we did. I mean, if you guys watched the game, we had an issue where we're sponsored by a mattress company, and they have like a bunch of mattresses on the sideline. And one of our players was like chasing the ball down the line, and the center back came at him, and he nudged him, and their center back flew into a mattress. I'm not kidding. That I kid you not. And if you look at like the write up afterwards, that Rick Shantz, their head coach, was so unprofessional. One of our players flew into a wood frame mattress, and it just looks so bad in written form. In video form, it looks even worse. But yeah, that's how that Las Vegas season goes. So
a mattress company.
A mattress. Yeah. It's pretty crazy. I'll send you the video, Saskia. It's wild.
I gotta see this.
So guys, if you want to check out this mattress video, it's not going to be on the Union goalkeeping app. We try to keep the content. Omar didn't do a breakdown of the mattress.
Hey, you laugh. There'll be sessions out there with people flying on that.
For real.
This mattress company stock just went through the roof.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
I'm just so happy right now. So Louis, just to let you know, like we've been cutting a little sizzle reel of Inside the 18 for some people, and I was looking for a humorous clips for the sizzle reel, and I'm not gonna lie, I feel like we need to recut the reel because this is one of the mattress, man.
I feel like Jill came on to hear more about herself, and she's hearing about mattress people now. So she probably dipped out.
I didn't even know she was on. I was seriously speaking from the heart. She knows I texted her immediately after. I was just so impressed and everything. Not to say she wouldn't impress me. She always does. But it was just, I agree. It was so refreshing to get good analysis, period.
It just was natural.
Yeah.
Speaking of natural, guys, this segue is very natural right now because one of the things that's most natural is someone like Louis Hunt, who understands how it is able to balance the responsibilities in one training environment to another training environment. And that's today's topic, guys. Louis, obviously, you're doing the work with Surf right now and you're doing the work with Wave right now. What do we mean by kind of balancing responsibilities?
Yeah, I mean, God, you could go in so many different directions. How you balance it from regards to your planning of your session, the level of the players that you've got, how you balance your own personal life around it, and balance your own mindset. Because I think we'll get into this, I'm sure, a lot, but there's definitely sessions and activities that can cross over between the two environments. But you have to put one hat on when you're walking through the door in the pro environment, take it off and put another hat on when you go into that college environment or that youth environment, for sure. Because even if I just use something like expectations, my expectations of what I go into with the Wave goalkeepers can't be the same expectations than when I'm stepping into a U12 surf session. So yeah, there's so many different avenues you can go down with this.
I love that you brought that up, because that's something, I think that's a conversation, Saskia, that you and I had in regards to back when you started working at UCLA and you were doing club at the same time. Just a simple matter is that, and this happened to me, is that it is difficult because you're going from handling a certain level to another group that has different demands from you, and it's almost like you need that little bit of time to kind of reprocess and reorganize before you start that session, at least for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think a mistake some coaches might make is just trying to duplicate the session. The demands, the expectations have to be different. It's a different level, flat out. And you have to, like we said, you have to put on two hats. You have to switch it mentally and understand what you came from, what you're going into, and be ready for it. And you can't expect the same results. Your training session, even if you did, let's say, take the same session and bring it to your club, you might have to dial it back because you're not getting the results. You can't move through it as fast as you would. Go from one to the other to the other. You can't. Like, you might end up, like we talked about this before, is having to say, okay, I'm not getting the results I want from, this first activity. We're going to have to spend more time on it. So, you really have to be present for both sessions.
Omar, I know for you right now, you're working obviously as an assistant with the LAFC first team, and then hopping over to the Vegas. Now, obviously, the demands are similar, a little bit different than working from a youth environment to the professional environment. But do you kind of sometimes have that issue where you're like, well, I'm expecting this because I've been around, Maxime Crepeau, in the morning?
Yeah, no, I think there's at every level, different goalkeepers with different profiles have different limitations. So I think for me to be with Tomas, for example, with the first team, when he comes and trains with us, he's been with us the last few days. The language is very, very quick. We have a lot of buzzwords that we can kind of throw back and forth. I kind of see certain things that he needs to work on. So in the training session, we don't have to stop it too much. But then I have guys like Cabral Carter, who's with the academy. He's committed to Pittsburgh, University of Pittsburgh, and he's training with us now. He has a very good profile, different to Tomas, different to Abraham Romero. But when I was training with him, it's a longer conversation. So if I want to get to the end of the session, sometimes I need to take a little bit longer with him because the demands for him are, hey, these are little deficiencies that for you to get to where Tomas is, to John and Max, where those guys are, you need to start ironing these things out. So I think working at younger ages, I look at the profiles that I'm coaching and see if there's any similarities in terms of the goalkeepers that I'm training at a higher level, and letting those goalkeepers know, like, look, go watch this goalkeeper. These are certain things that you're missing. This is the profile that I want you to watch. And I guarantee you'll start, seeing some things that you can kind of adjust in your game, just like this goalkeeper has.
You just brought up something, Omar, that I wasn't even thinking about, Louis, is that responsibilities in regards to the balance, it's not even just about different environments. It's also about in your own sessions that you're going to have to balance the responsibilities of the demands of what you expect out of one goalkeeper with another goalkeeper.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to have, and again, it depends what type of session you've got. I'll go sometimes with Wave and we'll have 2-3 goalkeepers, let's say. And then we have a couple of sessions with the youth team where there's 8 goalkeepers. And so within those 8 goalkeepers, you might have a couple of younger B-team goalkeepers all the way to the top 18 goalkeeper who's a little older. So the levels of where they're at, we try and group together so the development environment is accurate for them to compete with each other. But there's still going to be a disparity, and one goalkeeper is going to be able to learn from another, but you've also got to be able to push that top goalkeeper as well to make sure that they're being challenged.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Omar.
The question for you. So, do you ever put the onus on the older goalkeepers within those groups, let's say with the youngers, to say, hey, look, I've coached you a little bit longer and you have a little bit more a mature outlook on the position. Can you, when I step away, if you have anything to say to the younger goalkeepers, go ahead and say it. Do you ever give them that responsibility as well?
Yeah, the big one is, what did you see? Coach her. Can you coach her? So we'll ask them, and that isn't just necessarily the older ones. Let's say that we do a session where one of them ends up being a forward and they go and have a shot, they go into a 1v1 and they score from it. We'll try and give them the opportunity there and encourage them to say, what did you see? As the forward going in there, what did the goalkeeper give you? Help her, coach her. And because as well, sometimes when you're the server in the session, you can't see the angle. So you're kind of encouraging them to, what did you see? What did you feel? Help them out in that situation. But then going back to your original point or question, so we have an older, I think she's an 07 goalkeeper. She can't make the session of when her goalkeeper training is. So she asked if she could come in to a different day. It's going to be with the younger group. And we framed it as coming with the younger group. We'll tailor it to make sure it's still relevant to you. But this is a really good opportunity for you to learn your leadership skills in this environment now and help these younger players and encourage them. And in actual fact, for her, it works out really well because she kind of gets a little bit more soccer IQ around it because she's challenged mentally a little bit more as well.
I do want to bring up this thing though, and honestly, that's such a great point right there. Is that, Saskia? I think a lot of times though, one mistake that maybe a lot of younger coaches make though is they start overcomplicating it and going, oh, okay, well, these are the needs of one goalkeeper, these are the needs of another goalkeeper, these are the needs of this other session that I'm doing over there. And then they start getting in their head about how everything has to be different. But you can still keep it simple. It's just slight little adjustments, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could keep it simple, but you can keep the same session with and we're talking about a very high level in a sense. You're talking about pros working with academy and stuff. And I think even when you have seniors working with freshmen in college, you're not gonna curtail the session per goalkeeper, but you'll infuse what each goalkeeper has to be working on. And I think it's so important to instill that conversation between the goalkeepers, and especially the older goalkeepers with the younger goalkeepers, to be a mentor, because that translates onto the field. If your starting goalkeeper has the confidence to talk to their other goalkeepers in training and vice versa, then you're going to have the confidence to talk to your team on the field and delegate responsibility, and that just builds that.
Louis, I got a question for you. Obviously, with the wave now in your backyard right there, did all your young goalkeepers or did a good group of them come out to the match this past weekend? And is that something that you're going to be encouraging them to try to come out every weekend and watch that level to see what they can gain from watching those that they see it in the trainings around them? Yeah,
I'm not sure if we had a couple of players that I know that were up in Orange County. I think for this weekend's game down in San Diego, I know a lot of them are going. It's funny you say it because we had an age group training session last night. And when we do age group training for the teams, there'll be a station that will be, for example, last night there was a build-up station with the goalkeepers and the back four. And then there was another station that was going to goal, another station that was possession. And in the build-up station, I was talking to the goalkeepers about a little bit of deception because one of the keepers looked up, the player dropped off, and then she just played it short. And so that led into a conversation about why did you do that? And did you see the benefits from it? And can you add it a little bit more? And she just said, yeah, I saw your wave goalkeeper do that at the weekend all the time. So it's already started where he now knows who Kaylin is and she's watched the game and she's picked that up without me talking about it. She's picked that up through watching it. And that's kind of trickled down into our into our training sessions as a conversation and something that's just layered in. So it's brilliant that you've got these two teams now in SoCal, that all of these kids up and down from LA down to San Diego are going to be able to see up close and personal and feel attachment to, and they can watch them and bring their stuff to their game as well, or try to.
Omar, what's the situation
nothing shy about wanting to be like Kaylin. There's nothing wrong with that. So
I was watching some of the actions from this weekend that Kaylin had, and I was like, I've never done that in my life, nor do I think I ever could do that in my life. It's just she's at another level.
But it's so important because, like you said, to have those mentors now, to have those people in your backyard to look up to. And now these young female goalkeepers to be able to go to these games and feel an attachment and say, this is my new hero. This is who I want to be like, instead of like, only seeing it on television or on clips and stuff. Now it's tangible.
Yeah. I don't know. I think for me, like, it's like a trickle down effect, right? I think since I was a kid, I think we all are a little bit afraid to try new things that are out of our wheelhouse because they're new, they're scary, they're intimidating. But then when you see somebody like Kaylin Sheridan, who has built up her bravery, and in my opinion, one of the bravest with her feet, and Gotham used her in that regard last season to the best of her capability. I felt that when I was younger, if I saw a goalkeeper do something, I could blame me trying it on somebody at a high level. So I started. I'm not kidding. I would watch like an Oliver Kahn, because they used to have like 2002 World Cup, the videotapes in my room. I would watch that.
Wait, hold on. You tell your coaches it's because Oliver Kahn did that? That's why you made that mistake?
my cast, the Peter Schmeichel documentary as well. I would watch them and how they would communicate with their teammates. For better or for worse, I know those guys were a little bit eccentric, over the top, but I would yell at my defenders in a way because I just wanted to just see if that would work. It didn't. My players told me to, F off. And sometimes I was kind of just like, okay, that makes sense. But at least it gave me the opportunity to be like, hey, like, the professionals are doing this and I can find my voice and blame it on them. But that's what I mean. But I think if you watch these young goalkeepers go to these games and watch, they may see something, a ball that's, tough one to play, but they see Kaylin play it and they go, you know what? I'm going to try it. And then, look, I'm not trying to get your goalkeepers to have excuses, but if they make a mistake in the game, they say, hey, look, we did what Kaylin did. I'm sorry. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but I do think that, in my opinion, going to watch those games gives those goalkeepers that level of like an extra layer, bit of confidence to be like, I'm trying it because I saw on the weekend.
You guys are all bringing up something that, like, I'm just thinking about right now in regards to the fact that, like, and Louis, Saskia, Omar, I'm sure you guys can all attest to this, especially you, Louis, right now, is that maybe the best way to balance these responsibilities is to link these responsibilities so that they're interconnected, and the kids know they're interconnected in your world, so then it becomes interconnected in their world. Does that make any sense?
Absolutely lost me.
No, it
does that make any sense?
I just heard interconnected about 10 times, and I'm so confused right now.
Okay, let me give it.
I'm kidding, Mike. I'm kidding.
I know what you mean, Mike. It's one of them where, for me personally, I can see what the level is like here with the Wave goalkeepers who are playing at the professional level, playing at a super high standard, international goalkeepers. Like if I use Carly, for example, she's one of the most experienced female goalkeepers ever to have played the game. So it's a privilege for me to be able to see what that level looks like. But now it's a trickle down effect to go into the youth stuff where these youth players have got the access where I can pass on information to them. But going back to Saskia's point, they can see that up close and personal, whether it's on TV, whether it's in their own backyard now, live. And the same with little boys and lads going to watch the MLS and the USL. They can go and they can see that and know that, okay, he's doing this, she's doing that, I'm going to go and try it. And then I think there needs to be an encouragement, and this is a whole nother topic, I'm sure, but it's a goalkeeping segment, so we can bat our head coaches a bit. There's got to be youth head coaches have got to be comfortable with their goalkeepers trying these things. Otherwise, what's the point? Because a lot of people nowadays will put their goalkeepers in a possession phase in their training. They'll be like, yeah, we use the goalkeepers. And then it comes to the weekend and they don't allow them to do it, or they'll kill them if they make a mistake by trying it. So there's got to be that flexibility from head coaches as well to go into Omar's point. If they're trying to do something from an Oliver Kahn or Peter Schmeichel documentary and it doesn't work, then you cut them some slack.
But you just brought up a great point, Louis and Saskia. I don't know if this is something that you've seen as well too, is that your responsibilities as a coach are different at the collegiate level than they are at the youth level in regards to what the demands are and the responsibilities are, expected of you. So you have to kind of take that into consideration when you decide how you're going to approach that job, right?
Well, I think it's apples and oranges, the youth
Okay.
to college and to pro. I mean, number one, depending on how many teams you have in a club, how much access you have to the goalkeepers per week. Like, with the Bulls, I had the goalkeepers for like a half an hour, like once or twice a week. Like, and so, but when you go to a pro or when you go to a college level, I have them every day. And so you can curtail your sessions to be more of a building process. You can make it, fuse more into game-like situations and what was going on in the game. And I think that's harder on the youth level because number one, I'm not at every game because, there are 20 or 30 teams in a club. And so, and that's when the managers have to step in and there have to be those conversations with, what's going on, where are the breakdowns, and trying in those short moments that you have the goalkeepers during the week at practice to try to work on it. It's difficult though, because there's one goalkeeper coach for 20 teams.
Yeah, I want to bring up this clip right now here because I think a big fallacy that a lot of people have in regards to whether they're working with adults or whether they're working with kids is they think that they have to work with them differently. Louis, I'm gonna bring up this clip right here, and I think we're gonna see right here the kind of joy and fun that you can still have at the professional level, and I think the fact that you have worked at the youth level allows you to be able to do these types of activities. So before we kind of watch it, why don't you kind of walk through what we're going to see right here?
I mean, it's your simple soccer tennis thing, but I think this might have been the first week of pre-season. It was one of 5 days in San Diego where it rained, and it was me just being a kid going, screw it, I'll jump in, I'll play, and I'll dive around. Bearing in mind, after you see the clip, I felt this for about a week after.
Oh, look at that touch!
Nice.
Oh,
that was a carry. We see it in volleyball all the time.
I think Nathan Thackeray posted or commented on it like, you hit the net, doesn't count, other team's point.
I love it.
But I think this is. I think we're poking fun here a little bit. But I think Louis, and like I was saying, I think the fact that you have worked in youth environment has helped you in regards to when getting into the professional environment and understanding what the needs are of the goalkeeper, not just physically but mentally, based on the period of time. I know Saskia hates that word
No, I hate periodization.
Periodization. Okay.
Yeah, not period. Go ahead. Can't stand that word.
Do you know what's been interesting for me, and I'm still working through my balance with it, is coming from the youth environment. And I'll always say this, whether I'm working with pros or with kids, I feel like I'm a developmental coach. So I don't just want to go out there and put a session on to get reps in.
Right.
And there's got to be like some learning going on. And this is where like Kaylin's brilliant, because she is at that level where she's got to be prepared for a game and she's got to get her reps in and she's got to feel like she's been worked, but she knows the position and herself so well. She also knows what her little IDP things are that she can improve and tweak on to continue to push and to continue to go better. So even within a session where we are just getting reps in, we can have conversations, or it can be tailored to a little bit about, but we are still working on this specific area that's going to improve you and develop you even more. And something like that, I do think you've got it. There is an element of the youth game that you can bring to the pros where don't forget to play with a smile on your face. I think it was the last thing I said to Kaylin when we went off the field, like, you're world class, you're elite, go out there, be you, help us go out and try and win the game. But remember to do it with a smile on your face, because you don't want to get so bogged down in it's all about the result and it's all about the end game and the medal or whatever it is, because you still want to have fun doing it. And And you know, the flip side with the youth stuff is you want to have fun, and then there's a certain level where you still got to make sure that you're taking it seriously and the commitment's there, so you are getting better. So it's that balance again, going back to the balance between the two worlds and how you can overlap a little bit.
That's such a fun thing what you just said there in regards to the joy aspect. And I think honestly, I think it's something that a lot of times like kind of gets lost in the shuffle, and the fact that you have leaders out there as players who are bringing that to the table as well too, as opposed to kind of being like, oh well, hey, this is all business type of thing. I think that's really what shows a high class player in my opinion personally.
I'm just laughing because I was thinking like some drills, like when like managers will walk by, and I was just on an interview with an English bloke, and I keep using the word manager. Sorry, I'm in my UK mentality right now. So they're just like, oh my god, and the drill might be so intense, and the keepers are just working their butts off, and I'm like, yeah, they think this is fun though. like this is where keepers, their mindset's great, like that, the intensity and the level and what the drill's bringing out of them and stuff. And people might look at it like, oh my god, you're killing the keepers. I'm like, if you ask them, they're having a blast right now. Like I swear. And I love that about goalkeepers, and I love that about training. Like some of the hardest sessions were just so much fun to me.
One thing I want to bring up is in regards to, learning. So like we're seeing a silly little game like netball right there. Louis, like, did you come in there with a certain mindset in regards to what they're going to learn from this activity? Or was it more of just, let's just let go for a second and warm up and get creative?
Yeah, I think when you're doing your activation stuff, you ideally want to try and tie it to what you're going to progress onto within the session. But every now and then there's definitely, a window of opportunity where you're just going out and doing something for a bit of fun. But we've got really good, the sports scientists, the high performance coaches at Wave are really good with their activation piece. And even if it isn't specifically tied to what they're going to do next, they'll do something with a bit of fun, even if it's like to get the brain going. So Jill comes out with us in the goalkeeper training sessions, and she'll have balls and they'll juggle just to get the brains going and a little bit of coordination. And they're obviously not going in the goal to juggle, but there's things that are linked to it. Doing 2-touch, doing 4-square, doing soccer tennis. I think we just got the spike ball kit in yesterday that will come out probably tomorrow. So it can be something just to loosen them up. It can be something that's just a little bit of fun. And yeah, just to, again, the psychological thing, let your guard down, wake up, have a bit of fun, have a laugh and a joke, and then bang, you go into whatever it is you're going into. And the kids love that stuff, by the way. You can do anything with them. And I don't know if we'll end up talking about it, but in our Zone 1 stuff, which is the youngest ones, we have a program that we've called GK Nastics, which is goalkeeping, gymnastics, and other things. And we've got the Twister kit, and we'll do Twister as a little fun warm up at the start, because it's about like learning how to fall or learning how to control your body. And, is it in line with goalkeeping? Exactly, no, but are there some ties to it? Yeah. And it's a bit of fun, and it's an icebreaker at the start of a session.
Gotcha. So I've something that I want to kind of bring up right here in regards to, the fun. Go ahead, Omar.
Omar's still here.
No, just that we have from the YouTube channel as well. And I think to Joe's question, he said, does everybody respond to a hard criticism or critique? And what's a good remedy for burnout? Let's answer the first one just so we can give some attention to him on that one. And Louis, I'll ask you, I think the criticism and the critique side of things from a younger level, understanding like those young kids are in the formation ages where they've critique or criticism, sometimes they don't know how to deal with that, or they don't know how to process that. And then obviously you had older goalkeepers at the professional level who have obviously, to get to that point, have had to deal with criticism or critique from themselves, their teammates, coaches. So how, I guess, from level to level, have you been able to manage those critiques?
Honestly, I try not to be too dissimilar. I'm not a screamer and a yeller and a shouter. I mean, I don't see if I was to come in real hard and harsh and negative, to the wave goalkeepers, they'd probably look at me like, why are you talking to me like that? And shut me down. And with the youth kids, they might not bite back and shut you down because they're kids, but they're still probably going to feel the same way of like, you're not really helping me. So that criticism's an interesting word. Obviously, critique, yes. Try and ask a question like, what do you think about that if they've conceded a goal? And often if you say that and you're comfortable with that awkward silence where they don't want to answer and they might not know straight away and then they've got to think, if you're comfortable with that as a coach, often they'll kind of get there, and then it's another leading question, or then it's, well, what I saw is this. Can you try that next time? Yeah. And then if it's a reoccurring thing, at some point you've got to let it go within the session and figure out a different way to help them with it. Otherwise, you'll just lose them for the session, and then their head's gone, and then they're making 17 mistakes rather than just that one.
Yeah, I don't like I'm not a yeller or screamer either, and I don't find anything that comes out of that. I'm the exact same way as a coach, and it's got to be a leading question. You want to teach your goalkeepers to be able to answer these questions themselves and to understand what they're doing right and what they're doing wrong, and work it out in a conversation. And another thing is coming in front of other people with harsh criticism and dressing somebody down. The way that can affect anybody mentally in front of their peers is detrimental. This is education. This screaming and yelling at somebody and harsh critique and stuff, I don't feel gets you very far.
Yeah. Now you might have a situation where real quick, you might have a situation where as a coach, you have to make a point because it's something very specific that you want for the activity or the principles that you're learning. And if a player is doing something the opposite and you've got to get that point across, you might have to do that and go in and coach and just make the point very bluntly, and then the activity wears on. And sometimes you might do that to test the player's reaction. And then again, you can use it as a learning opportunity. That's actually what you said there is brilliant, where with the kids, you've got to teach them how to learn and how to think as much as you do the technical parts of things. And, you don't know what you don't know. So a kid's got to learn sometimes how to react to certain critique.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead, Omar. Were you about to say something?
Yeah, no, just two things. I think one, I had a situation like 2 years ago with a goalkeeper in college who he almost stopped the training and he said, "Coach, if you ever want to yell at me or kind of critique me, go for it." And I've told the story before, but I was kind of just like, well, that's not really my coaching style, and I'm not really somebody to yell. I'm more of a like you said, it's more of just like a discussion piece, a conversation. And I've had, to your point, Louis, there are moments where I've had goalkeepers who are super silent for 3-4 seconds, and I felt super uncomfortable because I'm like, okay, did I say something wrong? Did I press a button that I shouldn't have pressed? And then, like you said, just being comfortable in that uncomfortable of there's, like we talk about in goalkeeping, not everything's going to be perfect. There is beauty in the imperfection. Same thing with trying to get to that end result. If the goalkeeper you're working with knows that you're trying, in their best interest, trying to critique them or help them in certain ways, they're going to know that's going to be imperfect, but that process to get to that goal, it's the same. We're trying to put our heads together to give you the best options to get better. So I think to answer the question for me, I don't critique too much, but I've had goalkeepers and I'm working with one now. Cabral, if you're listening, I'm sorry. But if he's listening out there, really good kid. But there's always times where I'm standing behind his goal and he's he's narrating what's happening versus actually being proactive and saying certain things in terms of his communication. And I'll say, Cabral, you're narrating. I need you to be a little bit more specific. Can you have seen that situation prior to it and communicated it a second early? He's like, well, in my defense, what I was seeing there, what I was looking to see there, I'm like, I don't care about in your defense. Just say yes, coach, and then we can have a discussion. So there's always those kids who are going to be silent. There's always those kids who are going to give you a reason for why they're doing what they're doing. But I think at the end of the day, it's just finding different ways on our end. Oh my God.
I have no idea. It's not mine.
It's not mine. Lou, is that yours?
I think that's I think that's the universe saying, Omar, it's gone on for 5 minutes. No, just kidding.
So you and I have to have discussion. Every time I'm talking, I can imagine
I love listening to
you. At her watch and going, oh man.
No, I love listening to you talk.
Trust me, Omar. You have not taken the prize for the longest answer in the history of this show by any stretch of the imagination.
Thank you.
Louis, it's funny that Omar, in regards to that question that Jose Antonio brought up about burnout, because I think that's also a question in regards to coaches. I think a lot of coaches sometimes, and this in regards to like taking on teams and taking on college and taking on pro. Certain company in this podcast right here may be familiar with overdoing it in regards to responsibilities. How do you make sure that you're not taking away from one job by taking on another job?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. I don't think I got that balance right a few years back when I first did it. I was a assistant coach in college and a director of coaching at club, and it was up at 5:30, 6 in the morning to get to college. Do that. I was probably ducking out early from the college gig to then get into the club to do those meetings and then do those sessions. And I think it lasted about 9 months. And once the college season was over, I moved down to San Diego anyway, so I didn't stay with the college. But I don't think I would have lasted another season, to be fair. Right now, where I've been lucky, and to be fair, Surf and the senior director, Josh at Surf, has helped me out with this a lot, because when I took the role over, Wave were very clear about what it entailed. And so it was a full-time job, but were supportive about me still being in the youth game. And when I explained that to Surf, they were like, okay, we're going to have to strip certain responsibilities and stuff away from you, because I was effectively the ECNL director. We have a really good technical director for methodologies and all that stuff at the club who takes care of that. But all the other pieces, the scheduling, the admin, the player liaison stuff, I was doing that, as well as the goalkeepers and as well as the team. And I thought I'd be able to balance it and still do the off-field stuff. And there's no way. If they'd asked me to continue to do that, there's just no way I could. So, getting what the Wave schedule was and going, okay, this is what you can work around that without short-tailing the kids and without, being able to not provide them with a good experience and an opportunity was important. And so far, so good. They're getting the training sessions. I'm there. When we start playing games with the club stuff, that's when it will be a different kind of challenge, because I don't know what that will look like with regards to Saskia's point earlier. Your goalkeeper coach in a club, you're not at an awful lot of the games, if any. So, how you balance that out is going to be difficult. But yeah, it's definitely tough. You've got to make sure that you're really, really organised, I think, is probably the shorter answer to what I was trying to say.
Yeah, and I think you also have to ask yourself the question, like for me, when I transitioned from club to UCLA, I really found that like mentally and emotionally, the club was suffering. Like I was burnt from focusing on UCLA stuff, and I just didn't want to. I made that conscious decision. I have to give 100. If I'm not giving 100% somewhere, then it's a detriment to the goalkeeper. So I had to make that change and make a choice. And so that my choice became just to focus on one.
And I think that's important. I think you need to understand what your bandwidth is, and everybody's going to be a little bit different.
Be honest with yourself. You have to.
Yeah. There's a question here from a young coach right here, and that's from Jillian Lloyden. And she goes, "Thanks for sharing your insight, Louis. Utmost respect for you and your craft. Something that I'm exploring lately. How do you balance what players are currently seeing and what they'll see at the next level? Example, do you work on high balls and crosses with 10-year-olds who most likely don't see those actions yet? Go Wave! ! I'm going to open this up to the entire panel because I think it's important for everybody to give their insight on this.
It's hard to. Jill has a question.
I know. I'm scared. I don't want to answer it. I'm like,
has a question that she doesn't know the answer to. I'm like freaked out.
You know what her question reminds me of is when Rade was on. I think Rade was on your guys' podcast, maybe during the pandemic as well. And he put up a slide of what I think they'd done a review of what the youth players were seeing at different age groups. And that kind of forced me to do something similar around the same time is what are the 10-year-olds seeing in the game? What are the 14-year-olds seeing? How much does that change across the board? And then you can design your sessions a little bit around that. So in the pro environment, we'll have X, Y, and Z that we're going to work on to get reps in and sharpness, but then you'll tailor it towards the opposition that you're going to see this week. the youth game, there's a certain level of developmental that you've got to get in. But again, how much do you need to work, to Jill's point, on crosses in the zone ones, when really they're probably doing a lot of short passes, a lot of rollouts, and then a lot of blocking, 1v1 situations. Maybe they're getting some high balls, and so they're learning how to parry or move their feet back, come out and defend the goal and use their body in different ways. Our zone one stuff that we've taken over, again, this GK Nastics idea, there's not really an awful lot of actual technical coaching going on. It's just putting them in fun games where they're learning how to move, and then maybe layering in some pieces. If you can't catch it because your hands are too small at that age to catch a size 4 ball, how do you parry it away, push it away, block it away, just get your body in the way? So you're really tailoring it to what they are seeing on a Saturday and a Sunday.
Oh my gosh. I wasn't saying, oh my gosh, about that.
But Rafael Soto said he's making a pizza, and that's why he said it.
It must be me with the ding. I'm going to mute myself.
It is. I think what it is, I think you have to hide your alerts in your iMessage, Louis, on your computer. Just to hide your alerts, and then it'll be good to go.
I think Jill, it's actually a really interesting question, and I kind of think of it like back when I was coaching club, was like, you know, the kids aren't allowed to head the ball, and there are all these rules coming out of the back. So does that mean we don't teach them how to start kicking long balls and punting and stuff like that? I think that what happens when you all of a sudden get to the next age, which is like the next year, and now you're getting up against some people that can hit some crosses, and obviously we don't want to start from zero teaching crosses and stuff. So I think that there's an integration point with everything. There's basic goalkeeping, so I think that falls into it. But again, like Louis said, like, you know, yes, you still have to focus. You have to focus on what they are seeing as well, but to get it in at some point, so it's not such a shock when they go to the next level and the next, because, you know, they go on summer break, they come back, and now they're playing 11v11 when before they weren't, and now you're coming up against some bigger kids that are sending flighted balls in. So,
you know, I want to bring up this right now, because this is a conversation I actually had with Ian Foyer in regards to this, and it's honestly there. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer type of a thing, but I was talking to him, and he said, well, are you developing the goalkeeper, or are you developing the goalkeeper for that U9 team? Like, what are you developing right now? Are you trying to give them a foundation so that this goalkeeper is able to keep progressing as they get older and older and older? Or is it so that they're successful this weekend for that U9 team? So in his opinion, you know, and I don't want to put more words in your mouth, Ian. So if you're hearing this and you disagree, I apologize. But he said is that you need to teach them the game, and then as they keep getting older, the game will keep evolving as well too, and they'll keep evolving. But you can't limit their understanding of the game just because those aren't part of the rules yet.
Yeah,
if that makes any sense. Omar,
no, it does. That one did.
No, it does. It does. Okay. I think. I mean, I don't coach too many young players, so I don't really have too much to say on the topic. But I think, like you said, as I said, it shouldn't be a surprise. And if you need a rebounder to work on crosses, and you're just tossing the ball off a rebounder to see where the goalkeeper, if they take a false step, if they take off before the ball is even served, are they delaying, are they pausing? Those are just things that you can work on that are introducing the topic, but not necessarily full-fledged crosses. So I think if you're dedicated to your craft on the coaching side of things, and you can really peel back some of the layers of what the potential demands will have for those goalkeepers in the future and what you can actually work on now, I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah. I want to bring this up, Louis, because this is a question that happens a lot of times with people who take jobs in a coaching environment in regards to college, and that is that they come on as a goalkeeper coach, but they also have assistant coach responsibilities with the college. But yet, in order to supplement their income, they do goalkeeper training at a local club. What I've seen a lot of times with that, especially during the college season, is that the goalkeeper training, the sessions that they're doing for the local club, take a back seat to the college. Is that something you've noticed as well too?
Yeah, I'm sure it happens. I think that the good coaches out there are the ones that are really organized. So again, going back to the start with Saskia's point, you can't just mimic the session that you did earlier in the day in your other environment. There might be sessions that cross over that you can do the same ideas. But I think, again, if you've got a college or a pro environment where you're going to play games and you're really working on a set schedule and certain opposition, you're maybe driven by that a little bit more. In the youth game, if you've got a plan for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, and you stick to it, as a coach, you've got to be ready that when you go into your youth environment, that might be a totally different session to what you've done earlier in the day in your other environment. But if you go off of that plan, you've got an idea. So it's easier to put the session together and have an idea. It's lazy, isn't it? If you're just turning up and you're regurgitating what you've done earlier in the day. The kids might still get something out of it if it's a quality session and you know what you're talking about, but how much are they really benefiting if it isn't geared towards them in their environment?
Absolutely.
Well, it's the same thing as like, I mean, I've seen coaches, you know, at the youth environment, and they're running sessions like you said, you know, your phase 1, your phase 2, your phase 3. And that phase 3 session's the same session as they were running for phase 1. And it's like those kids again had completely different demands. They have they're at different areas of their development. So, you know, I made that mistake as a younger coach, and I realized that everyone's losing out on that. I mean, you know, you just have to put the time into it. And I think sometimes that's why, for me personally, I realized I was taking on too many jobs, and that I need to focus on one job and do a good job with that, as opposed to trying to do 4 jobs. Okay, that's me getting off my soapbox on that. Does that make any sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. If you have a plan, if you have an idea of how you know what you're, again, if I just use an 8-week program within your youth environment, if you have your general topics and your counter topics that you know you want to cover and how they progress week to week, and you can go off of that plan, and then you can put an organized session together, then that gives you something to build off of, and you might have to tweak it, you might have to adapt it. There might be something that you did earlier in the day that you're like, oh, this is actually a really, really good point, and now I'm in the session, I've seen it, or the goalkeepers have tweaked the session a little bit, and you're able to then take that into your other environment. But if you're organized, you're always going to get something. The kids are always going to get something out of it. The players are always going to get something out of it. It's when you wing it that's where it falls apart.
That's a really good point. Well, guys, as we start wrapping this up, because I know Louis, I know you got baby duty. Saskia, I know you got to get off to something. Omar, I think you got to go eat hot sauce, or what's going on?
No, we got a game. We got a game at.
I'm still loving that disco sweatshirt.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm telling you, anything that's
multicolored day glow, whatever you want to call it. It's so 80s. I love it.
It's great. It's great.
I want to bring this up to everybody here. If you guys had any kind of words of advice for any young coaches out there who are working club right now and have been offered a college job and haven't taken that job yet, what advice would you give them? Louis, why don't we start with you?
I definitely wouldn't say like, oh, just only do one job and then stick with that. And everyone's going to have a different work ethic and a different balance. I think the more environments you can experience, the better. If you're going to take on 2 roles, you've got to be really, really prepared at the front end. I'm still working through it to make sure that my youth environment doesn't lose their experiences based on me going with the wave so much, but be really organized, be as prepared as you possibly can. I think as goalkeeper coaches, there's absolutely no harm in taking club teams. I think it broadens your knowledge of the game, which ultimately helps your goalkeepers out and gives you opportunities as a coach in the future. If you go into like Omar's world that he's in right now, or my world, and you're going to ask to do other responsibilities other than just a goalkeeper session, you've got to know the game. So just be prepared and embrace those different environments.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, my answer would be like really just weigh your bandwidth, weigh what you can commit to. Obviously, if you're trying to, improve yourself as a coach and get to the highest level, I think obviously taking the college job would be paramount, because you want to work at different levels and you want to grow as a coach. But again, see what you can put out there, see what you can do so that everything you're doing is 100%.
Yeah. Omar?
I mean, I'm
don't do what you're doing.
No, but what Louis said, I think it's like if you want to get your name out there, and Mike, you told me this when I was younger, is you just need the repetitions. So if you get into these situations where you're doing 2 jobs, you need those repetitions, and whether it's learning the game from an outfield perspective of I'm in charge of set pieces now. For example, something like that, where like I never thought I would ever be in charge of that, but now I'm in charge of set pieces. Now I'm in charge of video.
Oh, so that's why you guys won on Saturday? Now you're in charge of set pieces? Okay.
No. We have a game today. I was in charge of the film for today. So if we win today, then yes, I'll say that. But I think it's just like you are exposed to different personalities from the coaching side of things. And I took a college job at Cal State LA, and I was working 4 or 5 hour days on a part-time salary for almost 3-4 years. But then that opportunity turned into, hey, LAFC starting a second team. They're down the street. Would you want to join that? Oh yeah, sure, let's do that. Now they're paying me part-time as well. So I'm literally doing full hours last year with Steve Cherundolo, because I'm like, well, shoot, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here, but I'm getting paid part-time hours, but I'm doing full-time. But I was stretching myself, extending myself, and now I'm getting a full-time role here as an assistant coach and goalkeeper coach. So it's like if I hadn't taken those opportunities, I wouldn't have learned what I needed to learn, met who I needed to meet, gotten the repetitions that I need to get. I have respect for myself as a coach now. When I was younger, I was faking it till I made it. I was like, I have these things that I learned as a player, but I'm coaching them, and I'm like, I'm not 100% sure. But by repetitions and meeting new people and people like Jill, people like you, Mike, people like Sas, and Louis too, but I don't talk to you as much. But people like that who watch the content that I post and say, hey, you could do this better, you could do this better. And then now I'm like internalizing that, and it's just all those repetitions amounted to something. So if I was to young coaches, take those jobs. You never know where it's going to lead. If it becomes too much, it becomes too much, but take the jobs.
And like Louis said, it'll teach you be incredibly organized, and it'll teach you that as well.
And I want to bring up this right now too, as well, is that in regards to taking on a different job, is that I think that young coaches should try every level. Because if they don't, they're not going to know where they really fit in, where they're best. If you've never experienced college, you don't know what that's like. You don't know whether that's something that you'd really enjoy doing. You might do it and go like, yeah, you know what? I really prefer the youth level, or I really prefer the rec level, or I really prefer the professional level, or whatever. But I just try all those different opportunities when you're young. I tried everything when I was young. Probably really bad at all of them, but I tried them all. No, I
just want you to know that I'm so old. I go to bed at 7. So for me to do club at night after doing college all day, it's just not going to happen. But that's just it happens. So daylight savings is the bane of my existence right now, because I'm like, it's 7 and the sun's supposed to be down. I'm in bed.
Just to add what you said, Mike, there, I think that it's a really, really good point, because when you go to a different level, whether it's the next level or just a different level, you're going to be out your comfort zone for a little bit and pushing through that comfort zone. And it's going to be awkward. It's going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to walk away. This has happened to me recently. You're going to walk away and think, that wasn't very good today. I wasn't very good. It needs to be better. And you've got to work through that. And then if you come out the other side in that environment, you'll be better for it. Or you'll just decide that there's the different level or the different environment is better suited for you. And you see that with coaches that are amazing at the younger kids, but not so good with the olders, or vice versa. So, be willing to be uncomfortable in those environments. And just lastly, to Omar's point, when you're in an environment, actually be willing to do more, because then long term, that's where you'll get those opportunities. And that would be my biggest advice to younger coaches. Don't just turn up and do what you paid for. Be willing to do more. And that's how you'll get those bigger responsibilities.
And the comfort zone, last thing for me, it's absolutely true. I mean, I will tell you honestly, walking into the college game, I was out of my comfort zone, and you have to work through it and come out the other end. Now at USC, and much more comfortable. I mean, I got comfortable at UCLA, now at USC, and where that takes me, I don't know. But you're gonna be uncomfortable when you're moving levels. But put your head down and take it on.
Omar, finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, last point, I think, to Louis' point about just kind of every time you step into a new level or new experience, it's going to be uncomfortable. And even just working as an assistant with the first team, there are times where at the beginning I was trying to force things, or I was trying to say certain things to have them respect my level of coaching. when in reality, time will pass, and then I get more comfortable, and the guys just naturally those experiences, I don't have to feel like I'm out of my element. I'll slow things down, and the guys ask me now, and I feel comfortable answering them versus less than 2 months ago. I was like crapping myself. I was like, you could have done this, you could have done that, but I didn't say it with my chest. And now, if I believe something, and now that I've had experience with it, I say it with my chest, and like I'm getting those repetitions. So there's at every level you get different reps, and then that becomes your habit, becomes your norm. And so try as many things as you can and see what you like.
And MC, you are correct. Coaches are students of the game. We all are. We learn every day.
Yep.
100%.
Absolutely. And speaking of getting the reps, guys, we're going to just keep getting these reps in when it comes to these podcasts, so we can figure out all the different bells and whistles that are going on, the graphics and everything like that. So I apologize to anybody if we had any technical issues in today's podcast, but we're working on everything as we speak. I guess there was really no reason for me to bring that up. Wow. Okay. Maybe I need Dan. I think I need Dan Abrahams right now. I think I need a session. Well, guys, this has obviously been a fantastic topic, guys. Louis, if anybody wants to connect with you, where's the best place for them to reach you?
Twitter's always the best place for the goalkeeping and soccer stuff, footballing stuff. At Louis Hunt 17.
At Louis Hunt 17. And guys, if you want to connect with us, I think you really should try out this little app that's out there right there. I think you guys should check out the Union Goalkeeper Community. It's this virtual background that I got going on right here, guys. You can reach us at Pro GK Academy, at Saskia, at Goalkeeper Podcast, at Michael Magid on that, or the traditional social medias at Goalkeeper Podcast. Contacted inside.
If you just do at Saskia, it's probably Saskia Mueller, which is an actress. So it would be at _Saskia Weber. Or
I thought on the Union it's just at Saskia.
Oh, on the Union it is at Saskia. Yes.
Yeah, I think. I think it's just at Saskia.
Hit me up.
Hit her up, guys. All right, guys, that's all the time on Inside the 18, and we are out. Later, guys.
Bye, guys.
See you guys.